Hello, this prepaid call from an inmate at the Whiteville Correctional Facility. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up. Your current balance is $6.19. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink. Hello, this prepaid call from an inmate at the Whiteville Correctional Facility. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up. Your current balance is $6.19. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl, J. Renee with Prison Riot Radio. I hope that you're doing well. This evening, we have a brother on the phone named Clarence Hayes, and he is wrongfully convicted. We're going to give him an opportunity to talk about how everything went down that got him incarcerated, and hopefully we'll be able to not only present some information, but hopefully somebody that'll hear be able to aid in getting him up out of there. So let's jump right into it. All right, bro, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right.
Okay.
I would like to say first that my name is Clarence Hayes. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm 47 years old, and that I have 3 beautiful daughters. I'm also an author of a book called Facing Reality, The Man in the Mirror, and that I'm in the process of getting my second book published called Life Has 266-857, Who Really Murdered 9-year-old Marquise Hudson.
Okay. Congratulations on your one publication, and definitely kudos for the second one. It can be tough publishing books, and to be able to do it from behind the wall, it's definitely an accomplishment. So I want to jump right into everything so you have an opportunity to get this information out to the public. So I know that you said the young man's name. A 9-year-old did end up being slain, and I want to give you an opportunity to talk about, how did you end up, incarcerated for a crime you didn't do?
Okay. In 2006, I was indicted for first-degree felony murder in the shooting death of Marquise Hudson. In 2008, I went to trial, and a Davidson County jury convicted me of first-degree felony murder. Upon my conviction, Judge Seth Norman sentenced me to life in prison. In the past, and also denied me the right to have a motion for a new trial hearing. That evidence will be brought forward soon. But anyway, during my trial in 2008, Assistant District Attorney Sharon Riddick told the jury that I was not the shooter, but I was criminally responsible for the actions of the individual who they allege was the shooter. In 2009, 11 months after I was convicted for the actions of the alleged shooter, the district attorney dismissed the charges against Mr. Cartwright, the individual who they allege was the trigger man. Since my conviction, I have filed appeal after appeal because I did not have anything to do with the shooting death of Marquise Hudson. And plus, how can I be criminally responsible for the actions of Mr. Cartwright when he never committed a crime? Can anyone answer that question? I thought the law say you innocent until proven guilty in the court of law.
Yeah, that's what they say, but we've been in America long enough to know that ain't how it go down all the time,
Right.
I know that the situation that you explained about the one that they said allegedly shot this young boy, he didn't even get charged with a crime. It was dismissed. And I know some legalities that go with that, excuse me, along with your innocence. But before we talk more into that, I want to talk about how did how did the police even decide to even wrap you up in this whole situation?
Well, in 2006, when someone went to the home of my baby mother and this crime was committed, when the detective asked my baby mama who do she think had something to do with this murder, she immediately said that her ex-boyfriend, Clarence Hayes, was responsible for it.
Right. So I know that you probably have maybe some insight or some thoughts on why would she bring you into something like that? Or why do you think?
That she would bring me into something like that.
Yeah, why would she tell the police that she think you had something to do with it? I mean,
Okay,
you can't assume, but I mean, you don't know per se, you know what I mean? Or maybe you do. That's why I'm giving you an opportunity to get some clarity on that.
okay. I think that, before this whole incident took place, that I was having problems, with my baby mother. She was calling my phone, harassing me, telling me that she's going to get me into trouble again, and that I made a police report about this incident, and I also let my parole officer listen to those messages, which she confirmed to the detectives that my baby mama called my phone and said that she was going to get me into trouble.
Right.
So when this this murder took place at her home, and the detectives asked her, "Who do you think had something to do with it?" She immediately said her ex-boyfriend, Clarence Hayes, because before the incident, I had her arrested for harassing me. So this was the perfect time
Right.
for her to get back at me for something that I didn't do.
Yeah. I can definitely understand what you're saying there. That's very unfortunate, you know. Um so let me ask you this, okay, so she implicated and said, okay, I think that he did this. You're saying that you didn't for sure, right? So when you get legal representation, you will hope that they would bring these things to the table. So was there anything particular going on with your case or your legal representation that you feel helped get this wrongful conviction?
Uh, yes, ma'am. My trial attorney name was David A. Collins. In the beginning, I felt like he was on top of his game. During my trial, Mr. Collins told me, I don't see how they can convict you without a shooter being convicted first. But as my trial moved along, Mr. Collins started dropping the ball, which led to me being convicted and receiving a life sentence for a crime in which I had nothing to do with. Mr. Collins is also a witness to me not receiving a motion for a new trial hearing that Judge Norman didn't allow me to have.
Mm. Now, speaking of judges, let's dive more into that. I know that you said that you've done a couple of appeals and you keep hitting a brick wall. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Um, After I was convicted in 2000, my attorney filed a notice, my bad, he filed a motion
Mm-hmm.
for a new trial hearing. When he filed the motion for a new trial hearing, he only alleged 5 issues that really didn't have anything to do with, what really went on during my trial. So after I read his petition, I was not pleased at all. So I filed a amended petition that alleged ineffective assistant counsels in my motion for a new trial petition. When I filed it, a date was set, and me and my attorney went to court, and the judge tried to get me to take out the ineffective assistant counsel issues because he was telling me those issues were really for a post-conviction relief petition, but I didn't want to take them out. So my trial attorney was removed from my case. And when he was removed from the case, Judge Norman never appointed another attorney to take over my motion for a new trial hearing to represent me. But later on down the line, I received a order that my motion for a new trial hearing was denied, but I never had a hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So once he denied my motion for a new trial hearing, allegedly that I was supposed to have, but I didn't, I appealed it to the Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals, which they denied it. I appealed it to the United States District Court. They denied it. I appealed it all the way to the United States Supreme Court,
Mm-hmm.
and they denied it time after time. So, that's what I've been going through for 18 years
Well,
that I
hopefully,
had nothing to do with.
yeah, hopefully we can all come together and change that. You know what I mean? I know that in your state, there's a lot of things that I've heard about it when it just comes to the way that they supposed to handle their business, and I've heard a lot of bad things. And it's adding to the list. I know that there is some major legalities when it comes to this in particular, especially with the person that they alleged killed this young boy didn't never get charged. So how can be locked up for something like that, for paying for it to happen if he never got charged? It's like it never happened. I know that you have somebody that's kind of well versed in the law. I would like to give them an opportunity to speak on exactly what it looks like in the legal terms for those of our listeners that can understand that aspect, so they can know how to get behind you and support.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to, I would like to say that, since my incarceration, that I have been to a lot of different prisons in the state of Tennessee, and that I have met many legal inmate helpers that, said that they knew how to do this and do that, but, in reality, they didn't. So, and of mine, that I met 18 years later, that he knows his law. You know what I'm saying? He knows what's going on, and I would like for him to, speak, and tell what he know concerning my situation, and I just, hold on. Hello.
Hey, how you doing there? Thanks for joining us this evening to give us a little more more insight on what's going on with Mr. Hayes from a legal standpoint. So, please break it down for us.
Okay, well, first of all, you're welcome for me to be able to help him out and to be on your show. Hope all things are good and well for everybody listening and you as well. So when it breaks down to Mr. Clarence Hayes' case, for all these years after he asked me to review his case one day, I just started looking into it very deeply. And there's a case that's called, from the Supreme Court of Tennessee, called State v. Farner. And inside the case of State v. Farner, it clearly states that even though the case is about criminally negligent homicide and racing and all this other stuff and people dying from it, they clearly quoted another case in there, and they clearly said, certainly, we agree that one cannot be held criminally responsible or found guilty unless, or under the theory of criminally responsible, unless there's a principal who was found guilty of the shooting or basically of the crime. Okay? In Hayes' case is where I'm going with that. So if Farner is a supreme law of the land in the Constitution of, the state of Tennessee, it's the Constitution anyway, then why recently, when Mr. Hayes filed state habeas corpus in the local Hardeman County District Court, the judge keeps railroading him? We did it 3 times on the reply trying to explain to the court that, 1, there was no principal that was found guilty. 2, it wasn't mainly about that. It was more about the lines that the jury convicted him under the wrong statute.
So since they convicted him under the wrong statute for felony first-degree murder, the statute in the indictment should have said criminal responsibility negligence or something like that. So why'd they try him under a vague statute, for one? Why'd they also find him guilty under a crime in which none of the elements in the crime can be met? Because in the state of Tennessee, felony first-degree murder means you have to be the shooter. You have to be the one that committed, not being criminally responsible. And that's why, in that case that they quoted of the 1914 error in State v. Horner, which is a 2021 case, they still agreed with the 1914 error of that case that said clearly one cannot be found guilty of criminal responsibility or even by a theory unless there was a principle as being found guilty. So nowhere in Mr. Hayes' case will you find anyone that's guilty at all. And also, he's in the process of appealing that decision. He already filed a notice of appeal to the Court of Criminal Appeals in Jackson, Tennessee. And we're going to see what these three judges in Jackson have to say about the fact that this man has been sitting in prison for 18 years, going on 19, wrongfully, in violation of due process, and many occasions, for one, and the state lacks subject matter jurisdiction to even take him to the trial. How are you going to trial this man first, knowing the law states that he's got to be one found guilty of the principle before they can put out forth a theory of being criminally responsible? So if they put out him first and not the shooter, then they clearly violated the due process rights of Mr. Hayes. And of course, it's clearly under the rule of law. Those who are listening who know the law, then you know clearly that once due process is violated, all jurisdiction ceases per your very own, which means they never had the jurisdiction. And for the judge to act as the 13th juror and say, well, I'm going to find you guilty for felony first-degree murder, he cannot claim ignorance of the law. He knows the law. If a regular citizen can't claim ignorance of the law, neither can he. Therefore, because of his actions under Section 5 U.S.C. Code, he can be sued, and it removes judicial liability. And Mr. Hayes' civil rights under 42 U.S.C. 1983 were violated under the 14th Amendment. And it just keeps going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole about all these crimes the state of Tennessee and the laws do to these people in prison. I mean, I've helped many people out in prison. I helped a lot of people go home. I've got a lot of cases reversed. And I'm here to tell you there are many, many problems going on with wrongful convictions in the state of Tennessee. There's a lot of this he said, she said, without any evidence and the fact to support anything, and there's people doing life sentences over it.
Well, I definitely am going to tune and tap in with you so we can talk more about the crimes against the people at the hands of the state of Tennessee. But I appreciate you very much for breaking that down for us, brother.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem. Well, here he is. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So before I let you go, bro, I want to give you an opportunity to bring up or talk about anything that you feel we should discuss that we might haven't discussed yet, that you feel is important or that you want the people to know.
Yes, if possible, I wish that, the people will come forward, to my aid and assistance, because their voice matters. If possible, I would like for them to call the Congress, protest like they did for George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Call the governor, contact your local elected officials, and ask questions about my situation.
All right, so I'll make sure that I include those numbers so that people have it at their fingertips to be able to call on your behalf. I want to give you another opportunity to just whatever you want to say to the people. It can be anything, you know what I mean? I want to give you an opportunity to speak your piece. The floor is yours.
Yes, since my incarceration, I have lost my mom, to breast cancer. And upon losing her, I didn't even get to go to the funeral to even see my mom have her funeral or even go to watch my mama get buried. And it crushed me, and I still go through it, and I don't think that I ever get over it. But, to sit in prison and have to suffer and go through what I'm going through it makes no sense, especially when you being detained illegally, and and you know, I understand that things happen, but my kids shouldn't have to suffer. I have
Mhm.
3 beautiful girls that I've been taken out of their life for 18 years. I
Yeah.
didn't have anything to do with this crime, and that they suffering as well, and that one being away from their kids turn your kids against you, and you haven't even did nothing wrong, but they don't understand. So
Yeah.
I just want to say that hopefully that 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 I wish you know I could contact someone like Benjamin Crump, who can help me, you know, and any other attorney out there, that could could step in and stop this injustice that's going on, because the state of Tennessee don't want to acknowledge the fact that they was in the wrong, and it's going to take some powerful people in the world to come forward and stand with me in my fight for my freedom.
All right, bro. Is there anything that you have online where people can support in that way, or any type of way that if they want to contact you, they'll be able to contact you?
Whiteville Correction Facility. The
It,
address is 1440 Union Spring Road, Whiteville, Tennessee, 38005. And the phone number is 731-254-9400, extension 40783. This is the attorney secretary. Her name is Miss Lockridge. If anyone wants to write me or even set up a visit, they can contact Miss Lockridge and make that happen through her.